Welcome to Comparative Anatomy. Today, we are going to explore one of the most fascinating stories in evolutionary biology, the evolution of the aortic arches. We will see exactly how nature remodeled the circulatory system to allow early vertebrates to successfully transition from swimming in water to walking on land. To start, imagine a city's water supply system that was originally built as a simple grid of 6 parallel pipes. As the city grows and changes over centuries, some of those old pipes are no longer needed and are dismantled. Meanwhile, other pipes are enlarged and repurposed to serve entirely new, modern neighborhoods. This is exactly what happened to the blood vessels near the heart of vertebrates. Nature brilliantly adapts existing structures rather than building entirely new ones from scratch. Now that we have our city pipes analogy, let us formally define what these biological pipes are. In comparative anatomy, aortic arches are a series of paired blood vessels. They emerge from the ventral aorta, which is the main vessel leaving the heart. They loop upward around the pharynx, passing through the gill slits, and then join together at the top to form the dorsal aorta. This dorsal aorta then carries oxygenated blood to the rest of the body. Building on that definition, let us look at the evolutionary timeline. The fundamental ancestral plan, which we see in early vertebrate embryos, consists of exactly 6 pairs of these arches. But as we move through the evolutionary tree, from fishes to amphibians, reptiles, birds, and finally mammals, this basic plan is heavily modified. Some arches disappear completely, while others transform into specialized vessels, like the carotid arteries for the head, the systemic arch for the body, and the pulmonary arch for the lungs. You might be wondering why this specific anatomical remodeling matters so much. It represents the mechanical solution to a massive biological challenge, switching from gill breathing to lung breathing. Fishes have a single circuit of blood flow, but on land, animals need a double circulation system to separate oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. Without the selective loss and repurposing of specific aortic arches, this separation would be physically impossible. This is what ultimately allows birds and mammals to maintain warm body temperatures. To truly understand why nature eliminated those microscopic gill capillaries, we need to look at the physics of blood flow. The primary physical challenge in any circulatory system is overcoming the resistance that blood vessels impose on the flowing blood. By bypassing the narrow gill capillaries and evolving wide, continuous aortic arches, land-dwelling vertebrates gained a massive mechanical advantage. This evolutionary shift allowed blood to flow much more easily, reducing the workload on the heart. This brings us to the mathematical explanation of this mechanical advantage, known as Poiseuille's law. This fundamental formula describes how the size and shape of a blood vessel dictate resistance. R is the total resistance to blood flow. Eta is the viscosity or thickness of the blood. L is the total length of the vessel, and R is the inner radius. Notice that the radius is raised to the 4th power in the denominator. This means even a tiny increase in the radius will cause the resistance to drop exponentially, making it much easier for the heart to pump blood. Now that we understand Poiseuille's law, let us see this with a concrete example. Imagine an ancestral fish where blood must pass through tiny gill capillaries, giving an effective radius of 1 micrometer. Millions of years later, an amphibian evolves a continuous aortic arch with a radius of 2 micrometers. Assuming the vessel length and blood viscosity remain perfectly constant, we want to calculate the ratio of the new resistance to the old resistance. The final result shows a massive drop to 1/16 of the original resistance. Let us see why. So we know the final answer is 1/16. Let us work through the mathematical derivation of this ratio to understand where it comes from. We set up a mathematical fraction by dividing the amphibian's resistance by the fish's resistance. We substitute the radius of 2 for the amphibian in the numerator and the radius of 1 for the fish in the denominator. Because the physical properties of the blood and the overall tissue length did not change, the constants for viscosity, length, and pi are present in both parts of the fraction. Continuing with our derivation, we can safely cancel out those common factors to focus solely on the widened vessel. We are left with the inverse ratio of the radii raised to the 4th power. Calculating this out, we find that the new resistance is exactly 1/16 of the original resistance. This is a profound biological result. By simply doubling the radius during evolution, the resistance dropped by a staggering factor of 16, allowing early land animals to pump blood at much higher pressures without exhausting their hearts. Now that we have proven that widening the arches drastically reduces resistance, let us look at how modern animals utilize this low-resistance pathway. Modern reptiles have successfully separated their pulmonary and systemic circuits. The reptile's heart generates a significant pressure difference to push blood specifically through the systemic aortic arch, which is derived from the ancestral arch 4. This dedicated pathway ensures that oxygen-rich blood is delivered efficiently to all organs. Understanding this pressure and resistance relationship is key to calculating how much blood actually reaches the reptile's body. To understand how this pressure translates into actual blood delivery, we use the fluid dynamics equivalent of Ohm's law. The formula states that Q equals delta P divided by R. Q represents the volumetric flow rate of the blood, usually measured in milliliters per second. Delta P represents the pressure gradient created by the contracting heart muscle. And R is the vascular resistance we just discussed. In plain English, this formula tells us that blood flow increases if the heart pumps harder, but decreases if the blood vessels offer more resistance. Now that we have our flow formula, let us apply it to a modern reptile. We are given a pressure difference of 40 millimeters of mercury and a systemic arch resistance of 5. We substitute these known values into our equation, dividing 40 by 5. This gives us a final flow rate of 8 milliliters per second. This means every single second, 8 milliliters of oxygen-rich blood are successfully pushed to the reptile's organs, thanks to this efficient evolutionary remodeling. Let us visualize everything we have discussed. On the left side of this diagram, you see the ancestral plan with 6 symmetrical pairs of arches connecting the ventral and dorsal aortas. On the right, you see the mammalian plan. Notice how arches 1, 2, and 5 have completely disappeared, shown as dotted lines. Meanwhile, arch 3 has become the carotid arch for the head, arch 4 is the systemic arch for the body, and arch 6 is the pulmonary arch for the lungs. This visual perfectly summarizes the anatomical remodeling. To wrap up our journey, remember these key takeaways. Vertebrates started with a basic blueprint of 6 paired arches designed for water-breathing gills. As animals transitioned to land, nature selectively deleted arches 1, 2, 2, and 5, while brilliantly repurposing arches 3, 4, and 6. By understanding the physics of fluid resistance, we see exactly why these anatomical changes were necessary to support high-pressure, double circulation systems. You now have a foundational understanding of how your own circulatory system evolved.